everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa, this is Allie Bookie Reads, and I do book things here on BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year Freakout book tag. I couldn't locate who was the originator of this tag. If you know, please let me know. I do want to credit them. Every video I watched was crediting someone different. Some of them said same thing as me, they couldn't figure out who the originator was, so they didn't know what to do. I hate not giving credit where credit's due, but from what I can tell, the original video was taken down and the channel is no longer active, unfortunately. So I did my due diligence, I did my best to figure it out, and unfortunately I just can't get to the bottom of it. Nonetheless, they created a tag that is going around everywhere across BookTube right now, but everybody was doing it in June. And mid-year is July, like I guess end of June, middle of July, but I saw a lot of people doing it beginning of June. Do what you want, but I am doing actual mid-year. It's halfway through the year. I have half of the year left to read. Here's what I want to get to. Here's what I've read so far that I've liked, that I haven't liked, that's been disappointing to me. And let's get on with it. The first question is, best book you've read so far in 2019? For this one, I'm going with Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid, in my eyes, can do no wrong. Everything that I've read that she's written has been my favorite book. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is my one go-to recommendation that I give to everybody, especially if they don't like reading, because that book is so good. I hardly ever come across people who don't like it. There are few and far between individuals who don't, but I feel like it's a really good book to recommend to people who don't like reading, because it's like a movie essentially, and it's about a movie star. So if they like watching television or watching movies and don't like reading, it's a good pick. It's a good start. Daisy Jones and the Six is told from a multi-level or multi-point dictation as interview style. I did not listen to the audiobook. I know a lot of people who listen to the audiobook really enjoyed the audiobook, but I am not a big audiobook person. I prefer to read the book, and I loved the format and I loved reading it. And a lot of people who read it in the book weren't a fan, but I dug it. I thought it was real good. I thought it was a real clever way to write a book. Question number 2 is best sequel that you read in 2019 so far. And that would fall under After You by Jojo Moyes. I don't read a lot of series, so I haven't read a lot of sequels. I think my only other sequel this year my only sequel this year would have been the book number 2 in Chaos Walking, the first one being The Knife of Never Letting Go. The second one was Of Monsters and Men, and then the third one was The Ask and the Answer. I read all 3, and I actually really liked all 3, which is unusual because I don't like dystopian and I don't like series, but I think I gave them all 4 stars, which is really good for me for a dystopian fantasy series. Really good. So they were impressive. But I liked this a little bit better than those because contemporary is one of my favorite genres. After You surprised me because when I finished Me Before You, I didn't think that it needed a sequel. I thought it was a great standalone. The way it ended did not make me feel like I needed to read more about the characters. Then I read After You, and at the end of this one I was like, there better be a sequel to this one. There better be a third in this trilogy because I need more. I need more of these characters. I need more of Jojo Moyes. I like her reading. Or I like her writing style. I like reading her books. I'm going to be reading much more in her future. Even though these covers are like, not great. I don't know why she chose this theme for all of her books, but branding, I guess. Next is, what is a new release that you haven't got to yet, but you really hope to? And for this one, I have How Not to Die Alone by Richard Roeper. I've talked about this quite a few times on my channel. I want to read this one because it has been touted as the new Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, which I adored. I really related to Eleanor as a character. I love the title of this. I think it's hilarious, How Not to Die Alone. I love the orange cover. There's not a lot of orange, although I'm seeing a little bit more of a theme in some of the new releases with this color. Orange and green, greenish blue are like a big theme right now. I really am looking forward to this. I hope I get to read this soon. I know I will read this one in 2019. I'm not sure when, maybe in August. Hoping to pick this up soon. This is one of my most anticipated reads of books that have come out so far yet. I have some others that I'm looking forward to that haven't been released yet. Next up is, what is your most anticipated read coming forward or moving forward in 2019? My first most anticipated read is the Jonas Brothers memoir, and no, I am not kidding. I am still a 2008 fangirl. When they announced that they were getting back together, old me came out. I am still the me of 2008. I am still 8th grade Alyssa. Hi, nice to meet you. I am a Joe Jonas stan. Always and forever. Oh my god. Their new music, so freaking good. I will not stop talking about this. I mean, I'm probably going to edit a lot of this out because I am so obsessed with them. I'm seeing them in September. I never got to see the Jonas Brothers when I was younger. That makes me sound like a spoiled brat. I went to so many different concerts. I got to see and experience things that I'm really thankful for, but the Jonas Brothers was never one of those things. So now as an adult, I'm appreciating so much more how much my mom used to pay for tickets like Taylor Swift and Hilary Duff, because I paid a lot for the Jonas Brothers tickets, but it's gonna be so worth it. I'm so obsessed. Their new music is so good, and they're writing a book. I mean, the Jonas Brothers and a book, like, okay, so that's number one. That's number one most anticipated. Number two would be the newest Ruth Ware book, The Turn of the Key. I have loved everything Ruth Ware has written, and contrary to popular opinion, her most recent, The Death of Mrs. Lestway, is actually my least favorite of the ones that she's written. My favorite being The Woman in Cabin 10. I have never read a twist like that. It was so shocking and it was so good. Which is funny because I hated a similar twist in a book that I just recently finished. But that twist was just way more disgusting than what was in The Woman in Cabin 10. And I won't get too far into it. I don't want to ruin any twists or thrillers or anything. I don't want to give spoilers. I don't want to keep people from reading books that they may read because that book is good. Yeah. The Nanny by Gillian McMillan is another one that I'm really looking forward to. I haven't actually finished a book by Gillian McMillan. I started one in June. I Know You Know, the one about the podcast. And I never got around to finishing it because July started and I had to read 18 books. Or I have to read 18 books. That's this month. That's occurring currently. I'm losing my mind. But I am really interested in this one because I think that the nanny topic is super intriguing. Like the fact that can we trust the person that we're leaving our children alone with? And I don't like kids, so there are gonna be some dead children. I'm just kidding. I mean, I like books about dead children, but not that I would actually want children to die just because I don't like them. Anyways, moving on. We have, Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is my July book of the month, so I will be getting this soon. I will probably read it just as quick as I get it, although probably in August because, again, I have 18 books to read this month because I hate myself and don't know how that's gonna happen. Yes, those are the four I'm most looking forward to. Obviously, the Jonas Brothers memoir is my most anticipated for obvious reasons because it's the Jonas Brothers and duh. Question number 5, biggest disappointment so far of the year. For that one, I would have to do the first book that I read this year, and that is The Devil in the White City. I had so much hope for this book. H.H. Holmes is one of the most interesting serial killers, I feel like. He was one of the first ones. His creepy house with the passages and the hidden trap doors and the doors that led to nowhere. I thought that was going to be more prevalent in the book, but really most of the book was talking about the architecture of the World Fair and how it came to be and how slow it was and the builders and the stories of their lives and political discourse and blah, 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 things that I was not interested in whatsoever at all. And then little snippets of H.H. Holmes. And it was not what I was expecting. It wasn't good. I didn't like it. I finished it, of course, because I don't DNF books, but I wish I didn't have to have finished that. I usually like nonfiction too. It's so weird. And true crime. It was all, like, everything I should have liked, and it just wasn't good. And it wasn't for me. But I'm going to read other Eric Larson and hope that his other books are better. Next up, question number 6 is biggest surprise of 2019. And for this one, I'm going with Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I was surprised by this one because I toted this as just a light, fluffy, contemporary YA. Not a big YA fan. I'll read fluff because it's quick and it gets books on my TBR and I get books off of my shelves and blah, 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 blah. But I loved this and I will be reading everything else by Morgan Matson. I own a couple of her others. I'll be picking them up. I loved the characters. I loved the romance. I loved I loved the to-do list of the challenges. I thought it was really cute. It flew by. I loved the playlist in this. I love that the main character was a Billy Joel fan. Obsessed with this now. Obsessed with Morgan Matson. Maybe I'm starting to like YA. Who knew? Next up, who is your favorite new author of 2019? For this one, I have two. The first one is C.J. Tudor, which I was actually surprised to find out was a woman. And she writes very much like Stephen King. It's very atmospheric. She has characters that I really appreciate. A lot of them are children. And I don't know why I thought that it was like Stephen King, but I read a lot of Stephen King, and when I picked this book open, I was like, wow, she writes like Stephen King. So apparently the writing styles are very similar, but I can't exactly pinpoint what it is. Yes, she has common themes, but that common themes doesn't mean that you write like another author. So I don't know what it is, but she clearly is inspired by Stephen King. I would be surprised if she'd never read a Stephen King before. My other author that I've really enjoyed this year, and I read both books for, was Riley Sagar, and I read The Final Girls, which I gave 5 stars. That was, oh, so good. And I love the thought of Final Girls. I love the thought of girls who survive massacres and are called Final Girls. I thought that was a cute term for a gross topic. And then I also read Every Last Lie, Every Time I Lie, something with the lie, because I read that for Buzzwordathon, and that one was good. I gave that one 4 stars though. It was set at camp. I like stories that are set at camp. I know I like those. So that was an easy one. I'm looking forward to Lock Every Door. Again, that's my July book of the month book, so I'll get to it soon. Question number 8. Who is your newest fictional crush? For this one, I'm going back to After You by Jojo Moyes because Sam is my newest fictional crush. He is a paramedic who falls in love with Louisa after Will is no longer in her life, and he fixes her broken heart, but does it in a way that's not like, I'm gonna come and fix you, I'm gonna fix you up and everything's gonna be good. He gives her time. She takes more time than she probably needs. She's very hesitant. He tells her to cut the BS, and everything works out. Not to spoil anything, but he's a good guy. He's got a good job. He's got a stable life. He takes after his nephew whose dad passed away, and I think that's a very noble thing. And yeah, I loved Sam. I'm looking forward to reading more about Sam in After You, the 3rd book. Next up, question number 9. Who is your newest favorite character? For this one, I went with Arthur Pepper from The Curious Charms of Arthur Pepper. This is one I got from the library, and I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. But I really liked it. And Arthur Pepper, I just love books about old people. I don't know why. Old men specifically. But this book is about an old man whose wife passes away, and he thought he knew everything there was to know about his wife, and turns out he didn't. He finds this charm bracelet in her closet, hidden in a pair of shoes that she never wore, and he goes on a journey to find where she got all these charms. And apparently she went on these huge adventures before she met him, and at first it makes him feel really bad, like he stifled her, and turns out she just wanted stability. She got all of that out of the way in the past, and she really appreciated the stability of Arthur. But I really appreciated Arthur as a character because he was sympathetic, he had emotions, he let them show, he grew as a character too as well, and he loved his wife. It was very clear that he loved his wife, and I really love books about old men who love their wives. A Man Called Hope is one of my favorite books, so it's a book about a man who loved his wife. Question number 10. A book that made you happy. I picked kind of an unusual pick for this one. I picked The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King. And the reason I think this is an unusual pick is because it was a book about a girl who gets lost in the woods, so why would it make me happy? But what made me happy about this book was it had a happy ending. She got out of the woods, she survived, but it was this little girl with so much courage and so much oomph. Like, she would not let anything bring her down. She made it her mission to get out of that forest alive, and she did it, and she was such a strong character at the age of, I think, 10. This is one of my new favorite Stephen King books. It's a very, very short and quick read. I did give it to my dad to read next, so I don't have it here with me, but I loved it, and the book made me happy because the little girl as the main character had so much stick it to her, stick it to them. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get out of this, and I'm gonna get out of this alive. And I really liked that. Question number 11, favorite book to movie adaptation. Now again, I'm picking a Stephen King. This is the only book to movie adaptation that I've read and watched in 2019. Actually, that's a lie. The other one was 5 Feet Apart, which was a movie to book adaptation, so that doesn't count. Also, the book was horrible. Why it led the bestseller list for weeks and weeks and months and months and months, I have no idea. Because if you don't know anything about that one, the book was written based on the movie. So the movie was filmed, then they wrote a book, and I hated it. And when I found out why, it made sense. So, Pet Sematary is my favorite book to movie adaptation of this year so far. But it did not follow the book at all. But I appreciated both of them because I love Stephen King and I will die for Stephen King, and Stephen King is my favorite author, and I know it's cliche and I don't even care. He's great. Question number 12. Most beautiful book cover of the year. This one is going to Mrs. Everything. Now, this book cover is gorgeous. I love the colors. I actually, when I first picked it up, I thought that it was like circles or half circles or bubbles, but if you look closely, it's actually 2 women facing back. And what surprised me to find out about this one is that it's historical fiction, because it does not look like a historical fiction cover at all. So that really surprised me, but luckily I like historical fiction, so I think I'm going to like this book a lot. And lastly, what are some books you need to read in the rest of 2019? 3 things. 1, more Stephen King. That's most of my backlog is Stephen King. And his books are intimidating because they're so big, but I fly through them, and so I just need to just need to do it. I just need to read them. That's 1. Number 2, I'd like to read more Leanne Moriarty. I have enjoyed everything that I've read by her, and I own all of her other books, and I really would like to get to them, especially Truly, Madly, Guiltily, because I know that's one of her most famous ones, and I need to pick that one up. I've read 3 or 4 of her others, and they're all so good. And then lastly, I have A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles, and the reason I want to read this one is because it's gotten so much buzz, and I tried to pick it up, and the font and the size freaked me out because I know it's going to take me a while, and I heard that it's really slow to get into. And so books that are long, that are slow at first, I have a hard time picking up. But I heard that it gets better, and I've heard that it's fantastic, and everybody was raving about this book, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I know he has another one called Rules of Civility. Maybe I'll read that one first and get into his writing style first, since it's a little bit shorter, and then I'll pick this up. Who knows, but I'd like to get to this one. It's one of the ones that I haven't gotten to yet that I really think I need to pick up this year. That's it for the mid-year book freakout tag. Well, maybe I'll do a reaction at the end of the year to see if I read any of these, if they're still my favorite books of the year, if they're still my least favorite books of the year. Let me know kind of what your thoughts are on my picks as well as your picks. If you didn't do the tag, like if you don't have a YouTube channel, let me know. I'd be curious to see. Go ahead and like and subscribe, please, guys. Let me know what kind of content you're looking for from me. And until next time, thanks for coming.